I recently had a conversation with the owner of a travel agency that wanted to grow the business and was looking for a few strategies they could use to do that. So without sharing any specific details about the business, I thought it might be useful to share what we talked about in this video. So this business had around 800,000 in revenue. It was run by the owner himself, and the reason he wants to grow it was because he wants to be able to take more time off and then travel with his family when they aren't at school, without the constant feeling that he needs to be in contact with the business or with his customers. So by growing it, he can have other people step into those roles, with the business being less reliant on him, being there himself. So this business owner believed he needed to grow it to around 2.5 million in revenue to be at that point where it can afford to employ a full-time management team and still afford to pay him a decent salary. And we already know it's got around 800,000 in revenue. So to reach the target, it needs to grow by about 3 times its current size. Its customer base is made up of about 70% by middle-class families, with the rest of its customers just really being anyone that comes to the door. And the business is managed day to day by the owner himself. So in order for him to be free from the business day to day, he has to remove himself from the business and have a full-time management team in place. Now, obviously, all of these roles aren't going to be filled overnight, but every time he fills one of these, it frees him up a little bit more of his time, and he should focus on whichever he's least skilled in, perhaps the sales or the finance areas of the business. That's where the biggest performance increase in the business will happen, and that'll catapult the business forward faster. And sometimes business owners get worried about this idea of replacing themselves. They think that they'll lose control or they'll be out of a job. But the business owner's role isn't to work in the business; it's work on the business. So by getting these other people doing the day-to-day work, you as the business owner can focus on how to grow the business or how to make it better, rather than having to deal with staff issues or clients that don't pay on time. And then if you want to, you can always step back in for a day or two, on that kind of face to face with the customers again. But really, it's up to you. You're not tied to do that if you follow this path. Now, the best things to focus on for any type of middleman type company like this is to increase the number of customers, and secondly, increase the amount of products you can sell to those customers. So to grow, we agreed that it should probably diversify its client base to reduce risk, because moving into new sectors would help to reduce any impact on the business if something happens within that sector. It could probably do that by looking at those other types of customer it serves, and then niche down on whichever type has been the largest or most in demand out of those. Or he could also look at what trends are happening and make his choice around that. For example, is the 18 to 30 age group growing really quickly in his area, and how easy would it be for his business to tap into that? Probably the most important thing to consider is having previous stories of travelers in those sectors that the business can use to show potential new customers in that sector. And then next is to add product offerings, because the more products that a business provides, the more it can sell to its existing customers. And that means it reduces spend on things like marketing and sales to find those new customers. When I talk about products in this business, I'm talking about adding anything that the customer would find valuable to help them. The other side benefit is customers like to buy everything from one supplier, but it's more convenient that way, and normally leads to them getting more of a discount, or at least a perception of more of a discount. Now, one of the main strategies the business owner was pursuing was to look for companies to buy and bolt into his existing business. And his initial thoughts was he'd target his competitors that provided the same type of service, and they'd be around 500,000 in revenue. And there's 2 issues we talked about with this. The first, often what happens when a smaller business like this that doesn't have that management team in place, they buy another small business. The owner will spend 95% of the time and energy on running the new business, and then their old business ends up declining so much that they may as well close it down. And in this case, by targeting a business that's almost the same size, then this again isn't going to have a management team in place either. So what happens is he becomes even busier, running even faster on that hamster wheel, but still not getting anywhere. So in this case, rather than looking for a business at 500,000 in revenue, let's say, instead go a bit bigger and look for businesses that are, say, 2 million in revenue instead. Or you could work with a smaller business, say 500,000 in revenue, if it doesn't want to sell. but instead it just wants to team up with your business and merge because maybe they want to get into your sector and you into theirs, or so there's benefit to both businesses there. And that would give both businesses enough revenue to start building that management team structure across that combined business. In this case, you'd want to find someone with complementary skills. And I've done another video on that called How to Find the Perfect Joint Venture Partner. Now, the second issue is when you buy a direct competitor, you actually don't get what I'd call synergy growth. So it can be a better option to look for other types of company and then bolt these on instead. So let me show you an example of what I'm talking about. So let's look at the main benefits you get when you buy a business. First, the valuation multiple will normally increase. If you don't understand how that happens or what I mean by that, I've got other videos in the program to go deeper into that. Second, there might be an opportunity for sharing resource across two businesses, whether that's some kind of equipment or whether it's sharing staff members. And then shared assets. If you've got two businesses relatively close together, then perhaps moving both into the same building, it will probably save money on rent, and you can normally get a discount the larger the premises are. And then there's all the duplication that you can cut out as well. And you might get bigger buying discounts if you can combine buying power as well. So all of that might create, let's say, a 20% cost saving to the business on that overhead. But the real value is created from the last two benefits. The first being able to cross-sell to clients. In other words, selling your product to their customers and vice versa. And then the final benefit that adds lots of value is having access to new product offerings and other people's IP or intellectual property that you can then cross-sell. So let's look at the various options you've got when it comes to finding other companies to buy or to merge with. So the first thing you can do is look at buying or merging with a direct competitor, like we've talked about already. That's a business that provides the same service to the same group of people in the same location. If you can buy or merge with a direct competitor, it means you own more of that local market. The next, you could look at a business that provides the exact same products and services, but in a new location. For example, you might want to have a presence somewhere else. So you could look for a business in another region. Third, you could look for a competitor that serves another sector or another group of customers that you don't currently serve. And then you can look at what other products or services your existing customers might want to buy and look for companies that might be able to provide those offerings and buy or merge with them. The trick isn't to think about what you provide right now, but instead, what could you add to what you already do? What else could you sell to your existing clients? But when we're talking about synergy, what else is your client buying if you're acquiring or merging with a company to provide that cross-sell to your clients and vice versa? You want both businesses to be in what I would call the same product family. So what does that mean? The client has to see a clear mental connection between what you do now and the new product you're going to be offering. So let's say you're a plumbing company and you provide various types of plumbing services to your clients. Now, if you buy a business that provides financial advice, well, your clients aren't going to see the connection. They're going to think, what does the plumber know about financial advice? And likewise, the other firm's clients, they'll think, what does the financial advisor know about plumbing services? There's no natural connection between the two. So to make that connection, you have to stick to the same product family. So for a plumber, the product family would be all of those services within a building. So that could include gas services, electrical services, air conditioning, and refrigeration. You can see clearly the connection between all of those services, and you'd probably trust that the same person from any of those trades would be competent enough to deliver any of them. So the problem is, like we talked about before, if you buy a competitor, you have nothing to cross-sell. So there's no opportunity for either business to grow. The only benefit you get with this route is that potential cost saving, which might make up 20 or maybe 30% on your overhead. But if there's a clear connection between those product offerings of each business, you get to realize all of those benefits of buying a business, and all those businesses have the opportunity to grow within that group structure. Now, the other option for this business, apart from buying or merging with other businesses, which if that were my business, I'd probably use a combination of strategies. And that would be firstly to create some new product offerings internally. And these would be the type of products that the existing staff could sell. I'd look to buy businesses that had complementary product offerings that my internal staff couldn't sell, like those other services in that same product family. And then I'd look at doing a number of joint ventures with other complementary businesses, which would give me a combination of new product offerings, but also access to new client sectors.